The 2023 Iowa women's basketball team, coming off an incredible season, found themselves in the national championship game in a record-breaking year, with Caitlin Clark reaching feat after feat and accolade after accolade. They contributed significantly in bringing in an NCAA's women's basketball viewership rating, bringing in 10 million viewers in a highly anticipated and hard-fought matchup against the LSU Tigers. A lot of people couldn't even imagine them being there, especially beating South Carolina. Really, they didn't even have them beating Louisville, but somehow they were there. I think it was safe to say they were true underdogs. Outside of Caitlin Clark, they got a lot of contributions from the supporting cast. Monica Serrano, who was drafted and ultimately cut by the Los Angeles Sparks, was an unquestioned number 2 option and stabilizing force to Iowa's offense. Surrounding the tandem of Clark and Serrano, you had Kate Martin, Gabby Marshall, and McKenna Warnock. Very solid squad with incredible chemistry, but unfortunately, their 2 bigs and arguably 2 of their top 3 players, who also were veteran presences on the team, and Serrano and Warnock, are suddenly gone. And after not picking up players in the wild transfer portal, the Hawkeyes all of a sudden have a situation on their hand. Especially being in a position where you want to build off of last season and turn this program into a formidable threat in the women's college basketball realm. So while being an underdog isn't a novelty to the squad, there will still need to be players that will have to grow up fast and fill needed roles for this team. But the question is, who will that player or players be? Before we get into that question though, I'm going to need you all to smash that like button so we can continue to rank in the YouTube algorithm and this content can reach more people. Without further ado, let's get into it. With Monica Serrano and McKenna Warnock now gone, it's pretty safe to assume that Caitlin Clark, of course, Kate Martin, and Gabby Marshall would maintain their starting spots. We all know the superstar of a player that Caitlin Clark is. Martin is one of those do-it-all players who just seems to know how to play the game the right way and make few mistakes, just like the veteran she is. Gabby Marshall is the best perimeter defender and a pretty good sniper from beyond the arc. So although something may happen where Iowa's coach Lisa Bluder decides to let other players start over them, I highly doubt that happens, and we can pretty much write them in as locks. There are some players I have as long shots as far as being a candidate for cracking the starting lineup. The new recruits coming in next year in Kenise Johnson-Etienne, who is a small guard, and Ava Jones, who we remember got into that horrific accident last year that saw her lose a family member and suffer some severe injuries. So although being a big on a team that needs size, I don't think she can leapfrog other bigs on the roster just yet. Then you have Molly Davis, another undersized guard, and she's a stable backup guard, but I don't see her in the lineup. AJ Ediger is a give it or take with me. I think she is a very talented and capable player, but her skill set is very minimal and not all that intriguing to me. But she could be able to take a leap, so she's still in the running and she's still someone to watch out for. Next is Addison O'Grady and Sydney Fulter. O'Grady saw her most minutes of the season in the championship game as Monica Serrano got into early foul trouble, and one thing that stands out right away is her size. She is massive. At 6'4", she is huge, but she's missing a lot of polish to her game. But rebounding and blocking is a specialty for her. If Iowa wants to shore up some of those rebounding issues they faced last year, she surely would help. But speaking of rebounding, Sydney Fulter is nothing to scoff at because she plays with a lot of hustle at that wing position. She tracks the ball down and secures the possession for her team, which I thought Iowa struggled with in the championship game, as I noted in the Caitlin Clark video. But that isn't all she's known for. Although she is pretty raw offensively, she loves to drive to the hole or spot up for the 3. But she would need to work on her slow release and getting her handle under control. Hannah Stokey is probably the best player out of all the players that aren't locks for the starting lineup. At 6'2", she runs like a gazelle, so that's great size, great athleticism, being a great downhill player putting pressure on the rim. This is something that you would see from her consistently, just getting behind the defense and pretty much wait to receive the ball on a seal or post up. You really have to grasp how great she actually is at this. This is back-to-back possessions getting the same look. Once again, you have Caitlin recovering the rebound, and she is also great at filling the lane and allowing passing windows. As a big, this is an underrated skill because it's one of those things for a guard to bend the defense to their will and create angles, but this is kind of like the reverse playmaking, when you make it easy for the guard to pass it to you. I mean, just look at this, just unfair. On this play, she shows off her cornerback-like abilities, and off to the races she goes. And both the last play and this play shows what could be for Hannah Stuckey, because she turns this into a defense to offense opportunity, and that defense component has a lot of upside. Here you see her utilize the athleticism to get a chase down block. She also shows tremendous upside defensively, and she is surely a great rebounder and will help on that end tremendously. Here we see her play solid defense on the post and stay in her position. The ball swings cross court and then back again. And you see her move on the catch and really get a great contest on the shot. Here she moves her feet excellently and is able to get the charge. Right here, she peels off the help with a contest, and the other component she really helps with is her energetic rebounding. Here, she is able to track the ball and create second opportunities for the offense. And with a miss, she's able to once again clean it up. Here she misses on the dive, but immediately cleans it up, and that missed shot is kind of the area of improvement that she needs to work on. Not just the missed shot, but the overall theme of adding polish. Despite her potential, she is still very raw, and to be a real factor for this team, they need her to step up in that department. Polish is definitely something she would need to add to her game as well, but overall she is the best player, but I don't think she is the most intriguing player. That title goes to Taylor McCabe. One thing you notice about McCabe early on is how active she is without the ball. As a defender, you have to account for a player like that, which could disrupt your help responsibilities. Once again, you see her, and it's not just about her movement, which is incredible, but also how quick she moves laterally. If you lose sight of her, that is devastating. You add a screen on top of that, and you're pretty much just not recovering. And on these next plays, you see it play out in real time. And it's not just the movement, but also how quick she's able to get into her shot with a nice base and a quick release. And I think this is pretty much a welcoming sign and a welcoming cosign from Caitlin Clark. To be valuable to this Iowa team, she would need to improve on the defensive side of the ball and make up for what she may lack in size. Overall, these are the players I would consider to place into this tough Iowa team's lineup. Now, at the end of the day, this video isn't necessarily indicative of the players that will actually emerge as the player ready to make the biggest jump and play, because at the end of the day, players are unpredictable. Some players may stay the same, some may see regressions, and others could take massive leaps. That's all a part of the development of basketball players in general. But what I'm really trying to convey to you is which of these players have the most intriguing skill sets, particularly with this team, and if all things equal and everyone takes the same jump, or even if no progress has been made in these players' development, which player's skill set would be the most impactful to maximizing the offense and defense of this team. With that said, based on the players we've broken down, and the players we know are locks to start, which lineups would I explore if I was a coach, Lisa Bluter? Obviously, we know Caitlin Clark is the superstar, and I think it's fair to say Kate Martin and Gabby Marshall has earned their keeps with this team. The first lineup that intrigues me is having three locks paired with Taylor McCabe and Hannah Stuckey. I mean, the thought behind this is rather obvious. I think these players have the most upside because of their play styles. I think this lineup would give the Hawkeyes by far its best offense, and this would be a very up-tempo offense, even compared to the Hawks team from last year, leading the pace of the season. Hannah Stuckey's size and athleticism and ability to play the inside game, and Taylor McCabe's ability to really get her shot off super quick while also being able to relocate, opening up spacing for the offense, it would be wonderful. The potential drawback with this lineup would be their size, because with Taylor McCabe and Gabby Marshall both listed at 5'9" on the court together, and then you have a 6'2" center in Stuckey, and your forwards Caitlin Clark and Kate Martin both at 6 foot, You're asking for a lot, especially on the defensive side of the ball. The one thing that could be done to counter this is just running the bigs on that team off the court. If they could just absolutely torch teams with a running gun style of play, they could be a dangerous and extremely fun team. The second lineup I like could be with McCabe and Addison O'Grady in the lineup, and the thing this lineup would do is offset some of the size issues while maintaining that offensive firepower on the perimeter. O'Grady being a huge body, this would give much needed balance to the roster on both ends of the court. And the third lineup is one that I would like to see with Stokey and O'Grady in the backcourt together. This is one that you would hope would pan out. Iowa was very undersized last season and struggling rebounding the ball, and that hurt them a lot. Although they were able to overcome it until they didn't, this lineup would secure the paint and let the perimeter players play to their strengths instead of having to play bigger than they are. The drawbacks of this lineup is the fact that Stokey and O'Grady are extremely raw players, and if they don't polish up and add more skills to their game, it can get very clunky in the paint for the bigs. Honorable mentions for lineups in order would be Hannah Stokey and Sydney Ofolter, Addison O'Grady and Sydney Ofolter, AJ Ediger and Hannah Stokey, and finally Taylor McCabe and AJ Ediger. As I stated before, obviously this is not considering the players that will actually take the biggest jump, but more so on the fit. But that's it for this one, guys. I want to hear from you in the comment section below. Who are the players you want to see in the starting lineup for this Iowa Hawkeyes women's basketball team? And who do you anticipate taking the biggest leap on the team? Drop your comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We are getting very close to 1,000 subscribers. And thanks for watching. Peace.